So I'm going to talk about some things that are kind of uncomfortable, and I might get a bit snarky and irritable and irritated, and that may become clear. It's not really my brand, but I'm a human and I'm being impacted by what I'm seeing around me. So things might get a little prickly because I'm going to go there. Watch to the end and you'll see what I mean. Where is our critical thinking? Is it anywhere? Somebody tell me what's happening. You guessed it. Let's talk about critical thinking, or lack thereof. Critical thinking is one of my favorite topics because it is such an essential part of who we are. Our lives unfold literally by our capacity, our ability, and our understanding of critical thinking. Especially today with the social media and the crazy news and all of this competition for our attention. People will tell you whatever it takes, getting us to swipe and stay on these things forever. Me included. I want you to watch and enjoy my videos, but I refuse to lie to you to get you to do it. I'm going to tell you things I believe are true based on my experiences, and then you can decide if you want to watch. It comes down to the mighty dollar, and unfortunately, people and organizations, institutions that we depend on need us to keep watching. It can have disastrous effects and has had an immeasurable impact on our daily lives, where now the laws that govern us will be impacted by their need to keep us watching, clicking, and staying on their stuff. And it's kind of gross. So as they do this, we have to make sure our critical thinking is heightened and active. You have to take extra care of the things that you are watching and that you are clicking. And for heaven's sake, take a moment before you forward something. Consider the source, the content, all of that. It may be entertainment, but it can also be false information that could really impact someone's life. We have to start thinking about each other. One tribe, one planet, one world. We are all in this family together. We must look out for each other. We can do that by not forwarding something automatically when it comes into your inbox. So here are some examples I've found that without critical thinking, they can be perpetuated into ideas that can be a problem. These are things people believe that can be easily debunked. Vaccines cause autism. When I heard that, I didn't know the moon landing was faked. I've heard it so many times I actually go, is it possible? Climate change is a hoax. You should go look for yourself. I'm not going to tell you. The earth is flat. People believe that. You realize that we've been trying to prove it's round since Copernicus. Aristotle. I get them mixed up. Who proved the earth is round. People still believe it's flat. Literally, the satellites that are making this broadcast come into your phone or to your computer depend on the fact the earth is round for it to work. Don't believe me? Use your critical thinking. Research it. Challenge your beliefs. Just look on your phone and look it up. Well, these are kind of obvious. There are others. Let's shift this to politics. There are claims that could be easily debunked instantly if we just use our critical thinking. And if we did, we would not be in the situation. If people use their critical thinking to take a look at the claims and figure out whether or not they are true or false, fake or otherwise. A president single-handedly impacts the economy. What do you think? So you might have voted for a president who you think is going to impact the economy, but in truth, they really aren't, and at least not right away. Don't believe me? You can do your own research and prove that. Quite often, the economy that exists during a 4-year term is a result of the previous presidency. Until people vote on that economy and know the economy that the current president has won't come into effect until the next term. Use your critical thinking. Please, I beg you. Voter fraud is widespread. This what makes a lot of people angry. America runs some of the tightest elections in the world, and that can be proven. Comprehensive studies have found that voter fraud is exceedingly rare in most countries, including the US. Exceedingly rare means voter fraud occurs between 0.0003% and 0.0025 of votes. That's 1,000 times less than a percent. And now we are in a very, very tricky situation because people didn't use their critical thinking. And keep in mind, when there's a claim, ask yourself, who benefits from hearing that claim? Who benefits from people that believe that claim? And that will point you in the direction. Elections are rigged when the candidate loses. All that talk about fraud and the rigging and the this and the other for years. And the day of the 2024 election, when the results came in, crickets. Because the people that were talking about the voter fraud won. Oh, it's not rigged anymore because you won. And now we've got people who are actually saying that it was rigged on the other side. Let's not go there. It wasn't. He won. More than half of the voters who voted for him. It's done. Done. Some win, some lose. I think in this case, we all lose, but that won't be clear for a while. We really need you to fortify your critical thinking to get us through this crazy time that we're in store for. Immigrants take jobs from citizens. This is a big one. People actually believe that the influx of immigrants are taking jobs from people who are in America. Economists widely agree that immigrants contribute to economic growth, often taking jobs that citizens are less likely to fill, while creating demand for goods and services. In other words, immigrants help fuel an economy. Not to mention the fact that everyone here, except for the descendants of slaves, are immigrants. Everyone, unless you're the descendant of a Native American or a slave, you're an immigrant. All of you. I'm not an immigrant. My ancestors were kidnapped and brought here against their will, and I have been born here as an American, having helped build the country with the backs of my ancestors. I didn't have a choice in the matter. I'm here. Native Americans were murdered and almost exterminated. The rest of you are immigrants. And again, if we just use our critical thinking, we can understand this. Not to shame anyone, not to blame anyone. We are here because we're here. Where do we go from here is what we should be asking. What do we do now? That's the question before us. Critical thinking. What industries rely on immigrant labor? Do you know? If you don't know, please find out. Because if you do your research very quickly, with one Google on your phone will tell you exactly why immigrants are really critical for the American economy. And without them, we'll be in trouble. Big trouble. Another thing that kind of bothers me is for an immigrant to take a job of a citizen, for a woman to take a job of a man, for a person of color to take a job of a white person, means that those jobs had to belong to someone first. In other words, the job was a white job, quote unquote, until a brown person came and took it. The job is the job. The best person for the job should get it. And the reason why we have DEI and affirmative action and these things is because for so many centuries, people have been denied access to opportunities. So to make it more balanced so that we have a society that actually reflects who's actually in the country, you got to tip the scales a bit and towards one direction or another. Not to do any kind of reverse discrimination, which by the way is not even real, but to make sure that people that will never have an opportunity have a chance based on their character and intelligence. The how you do that gets complicated. I would hope that we all believe that everyone born anywhere on the planet has a right to chase their dreams. And if there are any barriers in front of them, we want to help to remove them, even if the barrier is us. I hope you do. And if you are from a marginalized community, you understand this innately. And if you're not, you might not. And that's what we call privilege. So please check yourself before you criticize a marginalized group from taking something that you think is yours. Use your critical thinking to make sure that you are rooted in reality and understand how complicated and interconnected everything is, especially now with our global economy and our global experience. Presidential debates determine election outcomes. This is a good one. All the talk about the debates is for ratings and advertising. By the time the debates happen, most people have made up their mind. While debates can shape public perception, most voters' opinions are already formed. Debates tend to confirm biases rather than change minds. Look at the polling data before and after debates. They rarely move very much. In fact, most people are not even watching. Most people have no idea they happened. Most people are not even voting. Just being real. You decide, do the research, figure it out yourself, let me know. America is more polarized than ever. While polarization is high today, history shows periods of even greater division, such as the Civil War, Civil Rights era, or Vietnam War protests. It was bad. Many, many, many people died in horrible, horrible ways. We are polarized, but I believe we're polarized because we're not using our critical thinking. We're not thinking. We're just believing what we're told and reacting accordingly. And we are making a claim and then collecting evidence to support our claim and ignoring the rest. Instead of going, what's the evidence, right? What are all the claims? Let me weigh them out based on my life experiences, based on what I know to be true, based on sources I think are valid and accurate for me. This is why I love historians. Just do me a favor and look on YouTube for a historian who compares today to what happened in times past. If you listen to these scholars who have studied this, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years of history, it tells us about ourselves. We are repeating the same thing over and over and over again. There are pockets of history that are missing because they're not told, but the part that is told is a mirror and a window into where we are today. That is information you can trust. We are polarized, and it is pretty horrible, and it's depressing and anxiety driving and making me literally lose sleep. I wake up in the middle of the night thinking about things that just are not that important. But they are, because they're happening to people like me. There are a lot of lessons in history, and if you just take the history alone and use your critical thinking about how, why, what, when, where, you can see the truth pretty clearly. And to do that, you have to first of all take your unconscious bias and your conscious bias, move it aside, and approach each moment with a beginner's mind. Are all immigrants rapists, drug dealers, drug lords? No. And that takes no critical thinking to understand. It's not true. Can't be true. Don't let yourself be swayed by the things they're telling you about immigrants. Immigrants work very, very hard. And if you don't know any, get to know one. Find out someone who's come here from another country, first generation, second generation, and listen to their family story. I assure you, you will start to change your mind if your views of them are not positive. And that's just one idea I'm talking about when it comes to critical thinking. It is an idea that has shaped the American environment right now. And I'm afraid that people that are here fairly and honorably and contributing to our culture, contributing to our economy, are being demonized and dehumanized. And it's not right, because people are not using their critical thinking because they don't want to, right? They want to believe that these people are bad to justify their choices, when in fact, they made a choice that impacts people that are innocent. And the tables could turn, and you could find yourself in that place one day. So I really am making light and maybe being a little bit negative and mean, which is not really in my nature on this channel, to make a point that we have to wake up and use our brains. We have to stop believing everything we're told in our little echo chambers and open our minds, widen our lens to hear what's really going on. We need your critical thinking more than ever, because the lies are going to start pouring in, and worse than they are, and it could get really, really ugly. Before you make a move, before you post, before you forward, before you repeat something you've heard, put it through your brain and your life experience and make sure that it is at least true to the degree that you understand. We're allowed to make mistakes. We've all been lied to one time or another by people in leadership, and we have to depend on our own intelligence to sift through those lies, because it's pretty clear that the people that are running things are more worried about their pocketbook and their power than us. And we can change that if we say, we want you to listen to us, and if you do, we'll vote for you. If you don't, we will not. They will change their tunes the moment we start changing our votes. Know who your congressperson is, know who your senator is, know who your representative is, and make sure they're doing what you want them to do. If they're not, be loud about it, and they will listen because they want their chairs. That's where our power is. And to do that, we have to use our critical thinking and make sure that the information we are getting is as true as we can figure it out to be. Because unfortunately, my fear is there's nowhere to go for the truth. There is no one truth anymore. There's a truth based on who's saying it, based on their needs. So always think about the source. Where is that person coming from? Who benefits from that declaration? That will tell you where the truth lies. That requires critical thinking. Do you have it or not? The only way through this is to use the minds we have, to share our hearts, and to listen to each other. Check out these videos and playlists. Lots of fun stuff that requires your critical thinking. So please use it. I'll see you there.